And I'm going to remind you all, if you do not want to have your face in future public videos, please take you away. And or your name or however you want that to be, because this is going to be publicly shared. So just so that you know. Hello, this is class number 2, supporting your conscious activism. So welcome to playing around with how to basically live in a more expanded way from now through our US election and beyond, because our last meeting is the week after, no, the day after the election day, just to provide some final support for whatever happens that day. And then, of course, and then life and beyond whatever happens, because it will be just something that happens. And we can support each other, ourselves and each other as we walk through this, and potentially to have a more expanded and open-hearted experience of this. So that's what we're doing together. Thanks for being part of this. I really appreciate that you're here. And yeah, I guess to just check in now, something that we do um, at all of our EPI meetings pretty much is just to get into our bodies a little bit at the beginning of a meeting. So let's just do that for a second. Find your body with the idea that it's going to be about our bodies, that if I notice what's happening in my body and can interface with it, that's where the real shift is going to happen. That I can think about things and talk about things as long as I can and want to. But really, if I'm going to change something on the outside of me, it's going to start with shifting what's going on inside of me, which means noticing what's going on in the inside, and tuning into it and remembering you even have a body, which as the election season kind of intensifies, I don't know if anybody's having any experience about that. I am. That it's easy for me to go into my brain and start thinking and wanting to chew on it, and the theories and the who's and the what's, and which is of course fine and good, and lots of folks are out there doing that, strategizing and taking the next steps in terms of their languaging and how do they want to put it out there. But then, oh, there's Cody. Hi, Cody. But then Cody's coming in to remind us, or you cannot do so much of that if you want to have your body. So taking a breath, taking a moment to come in and just kind of make friends back here with what's going on in here. So last time I went through some of the basic ideas behind evolutionary power. The overall kind of precept of this is, it's going to be in here, just pretty much what I said. What's in here is reflected by how I see and experience the world out there. And so if I shift here, I can shift there. And also this idea of what is real power. I love that question so much. Through the years, I used to say, well, we're talking about what is our true power? What's real power? Because how many times do we hear power is power over? Power is the ability to force you into doing what I want you to do, whatever that takes. Maybe it takes weapons, maybe it takes conniving, or it takes me yelling at you or whatever. That's what I think our old paradigm of power clearly has been, like this kind of power struggle that comes straight out of our reactive brains. I had an experience. I have so many great experiences with our dogs, walking our dogs. We were on the dog path, and one of the paths we use is very frequented by bicyclists. It's a kind of a throughway from here to there, and so even though it's gravelly, they kind of speed through. And there we were with our dogs trying to get them to not the bike path, so the bikes can go past. Right, that's the moment of, okay, can we get out of the way as they go fast? And today we were doing pretty well until then there was this one bicyclist who, one of our dogs who's older, kind of wandered into the middle. So the guy is like, oh, and he turns back and he looks and says, control your dogs. So that's led to a whole experience of, "Hi, Ruth," of wait a second. I mean, I really wanted to flip him the bird. I was literally holding my hands up, don't do it, don't do it. But that kind of moment of, wait a minute, who are you trying to control? I'm going to control you. You control my dog. Like, anyway, this whole uprising, upwelling in my body of wanting to get into the power struggle. I really want, and Kath and I talked about it for a few minutes afterwards. Actually, there's a podcast I listened to, Hidden Brain, and they were talking about reactance. Reactance happens when somebody tells me, tries to control me, and I'm like, you can't control me. That's a thing that somebody made up. Reactance. Now we know what that's called. That immediate, I'm not going to be controlled experience that I don't know. Do you have that? I have that. You don't own me. In fact, that's going to be the theme of today. Is very much we talked last time some about the inner map and locating yourself, noticing and recognizing the signals that were in reactive brain. So let's see, I had a few of them, that impulse to just react and get into it. Like, I said, I think, okay, just to put this into context, I am 67, but I said, I think I could have gone and punched him just because he said that. Now, that's not a good idea. Punching some straight, like, let's just all be clear. That's not a good, but I had that in me. Like, ugh, I don't know. Who knows? He was bigger and stronger. He was riding a bike really fast. Not smart as a mammal. So recognizing the signs, I had that leaning forward, I'd clenching, I was fists. That's the first step that's in our book. And a little bit later in this, I'll put this, why not right now? Because maybe we're all here. I'm going to put the actual PDF into the podcast chat so that you've got access to it. If you don't have it in front of you and you want it to be in front of you, there it is. Spread it around. If you've got a PDF and you want to hand it, send it to folks, please send it around. That's my intention, to get into as many hands as we can. So 10 steps, a path to conscious, sustainable activism. That's the frame here. Conscious. I went unconscious this morning. I was conscious enough to not do more. That was good. Of course, I would have had to chase the guy down, so I don't even know if I could have done that. Who knows? But sustainable. So sustaining, like, instead of that, like that adrenalized response that I had, that is not sustainable, and it's clearly not conscious. But really shifting so that we can have an ongoing flow of energy to do what we want to do, to just be in the flow of what we want to do and want to create. That's the context here. So step 2 is choosing to shift, deciding, do you want to shift? So we'll play around with that today. And I think we'll also start to get into the SEW tool that I love, and we'll use and kind of lean back into that throughout the next 6 classes after this, so that you start to feel more and more able to apply that tool. SEW is going to get to what is the real issue, sensations, emotions. What do I really want? What's the real issue, as a little teaser. But first, I want to hang out in reactance, because nobody can make you, and you can't make anybody else. And so the question is, are you willing to shift? Are you willing to shift? So before we get there, I want to just kind of push on the part of us that is not willing to shift, because you know what? We cannot make you. So all of the things, like in the US again, that's all of the ways we have of trying to convince each other. It's probably not just a US thing. I'm sure in Australia it's way different, right? All of the great arguments and the debate points and the strategies, and if I push you, your inclination, your impulse will be to push back. Now, it's a little easier to demonstrate that if I was there in person with you, but to start to have that sense that even if I say to you, now you're here, thank you for coming, thanks for being part of our class. So you might have a little more cooperation in you. And if I said to you all, I don't know, okay, we're all going to get up and march down the street to knock on the door of our neighbors, like, now some party might be like, well, okay, I'm open, but do I want to do that? Like, right? That whole jangle of, wait a second, who is she to tell me? Right. And then, do I even want to do that? Is such a fantastic part of you, because hell no is a really good answer. Hell no, I don't want to, or just basically, nah. Now you might say in some way, okay, I'll go, and then turn off your video and go, I don't know, do something else. Like it might look like you're obedient and compliant, and then you'll go do what you want to do. Good, good, because if you didn't, you wouldn't have a self. So let's celebrate your impulse to be like, no, you can't make me. And even kind of play around with it. So how about letting yourselves kind of settle into your own resistance to being pushed around, and really like kind of be like, yeah, I don't know. Well, who are you? And because every other human has the same impulse. Is that true? I mean, I don't know what those fringy humans are. I don't know who they are. But when I talk to folks, even parents with very like brand new babies, like, when's the first moment that you notice your baby's not going to just do what you want it to do? Like, I think now, if anybody has a brand new baby around, maybe you can tell me right now. But the earliest I heard was 4 days. At 4 days, like, now maybe it's even earlier. Like, oh, I don't want that. You can't. What is that milk? Like, what is that nipple? Like, that we have it very much as like as a part of who we are, to say, wait a second, I get to decide. You don't get to decide. So I want to really celebrate that in each of us, that, yeah, so that as we try to convince each other and say, no, it's the best thing for all of us, for the planet, for the blah, 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 that everybody else is doing the same thing that we're doing about, you can't make me. So the whole question of, am I willing to shift? Am I willing to shift? So trying that out in your body, like even right now, let's see, willing to shift in my own physiology. So let's practice. The first step was notice the signs. So if you can unmute if you want to, any of you, to say, tell me, what are any signs, that signals in your body right now that you're having? Any sensations? That's really what I'm looking for. It doesn't have to be like a little placard. It's more like any sensation that you might be in, even either in reactive brain or in creative brain. Anybody having a sensation that you'd be willing to share? Yeah, Sarah.
Tight jaw.
Tight jaw. Tight jaw. It's a signal. It's a signal. I got a tight jaw. What else? Shanna.
Tight shoulders.
Tight shoulders. Hmm? Jen.
Just tension right up my spine.
Tension.
Yeah.
Great. There's just some signals our body is giving us. Like, oh, okay, that's actually happening. So let's see, for me right now, I have, yeah, something in the back of my neck, and kind of, you just felt it in my head, maybe kind of an achy sensation right there. Now, these are all signals. These so far that we've been listing are signals that were in reactive brain, because they're tension signals. They're like, they're really, that's about dense energy that's trying to say, here, notice me. So we each did. Now we can also notice, because we're not just a bundle, or well, I don't know if that's true. Let's find out. Probably even those of us that have said those things, that tense stuff, are you also noticing anything else that is open, relaxed, flowing in your bodies?
I guess I'm noticing some of that where there's just I'm like a sense of a flowing energy like up from my solar plexus up towards my head.
So other signals. I think that was Esme said, thank you. Yes. So there's that too. Like, okay, I'm not just my most dense parts of me. Wow, I've got some flowing sensation up from my solar plexus up through the rest of me. And as you say that, I notice that for me too. Yeah. Anybody else?
I'm not scrunching my my forehead, and my eyes are open.
I'm currently scrunch free. Is that what you said, March?
Yeah, I'm usually scrunching and my eyes are staring. I'm not doing they're very open.
Oh, open and not scrunching. So just noticing, like imagining that our bodies are constantly trying to get our attention. Good idea, because we're walking around in this three-dimensional world where we can bang into things and right, hurt ourselves, die, right? So our body's like, wait, hang on, just trying to tell you something right now if you're willing to listen. And that's what we're doing. We're putting an ear out saying, okay, body, tell me more. So the open flowing, okay, so there's part of me that's actually in a whole other state. It's just these tense parts that might be more like pain, tension tends to be like, zoop, tell us about, well, reactive brain is trying to tell us there's an immediate threat. Now, is there one? That's a different question, but we're trying to tell ourselves that we've detected a threat. Somebody else might not see it that way, but our bodies are telling us that. So noticing the signs. And then what we did last time was play around with the inner map, so people can go back to that video. But let's still, see, now I'm going to bring it in just for a second so that we can, do a little practicing of what we already did, which is called review. So here's the inner map. And so that I think Jen and Sarah, you were describing. So Sarah, where are you on the line right now on the map?
Well, I was in anger.
Okay.
And then as you were asking everybody to notice the more spacious sensations, I was kind of shifting. So I would say probably neutrality now.
Okay, so that you started in anger like 3 or 4 minutes ago, and now you're up in neutrality.
Yeah.
Or expanded state. Not to say that there's something wrong with being angry. This is more about just locating ourselves. Where am I now? Oh, yeah, here I am. Oops, nope, no, I'm here. And follow the bouncing arrow, follow the bungee, because in a day, we just move all around this over and over and over, which is any mammal anywhere, I think, is doing the same thing, kind of going from the most reactive, got a survival instinct kinds of experiences, and then moving through that, because that is very costly energetically to be in that. A lot of adrenaline, cortisol, the big stress response is costly for a mammal. Whew. So then in the animal kingdom, in the wild, at least as far as we know, and I'm leaning on Lester Femi's work right now, that animals in the wild are basically in creative brain, except that they need to go into reactive brain when there's a threat, and then they can move back. Humans, well, we tend to really think this is a good idea to stay in this reactivity, so that moving out of it can be quite challenging. And in fact, many humans don't even know that there is something that isn't just reactivity. When I show this map and people are like, oh, I'm in reactive brain most of the time. They actually say all of the time. I don't know if it's true. You got to sleep. Probably there's sometimes that we relax. Although many of us think the only way to get here is with substances, drugs, alcohol, or some good show, or some way that we can just get ourselves out of the spin of our minds of reactive brain. But I'm saying to you, okay, wow, the whole point of these 10 steps is to say, no, this is actually our natural state that humans went. It is not our natural state to be in a stress response all the time. This is a health rebuilding experience. And so that I just totally distracted myself because I'm looking at this line. I didn't even know where that green line came from. But that our natural state is here. And to emphasize that point, you're going to hear me say it over and over, that when we all get out of these stories, these reactive brain stories about who is right, who's wrong, these terrible people that are not our political party, or maybe they are because we all messed up this last time, and no, it's them, no, it's those other people beyond them, that's just our reactive brains talking. And that really, if we can just kind of shush and move our whole bodies out of those states, that then we can come back to what our real state is, which is love and appreciation, joy, connection. There is when we go into reactivity, we disconnect from ourselves because we have to. Quick, run, quick, hide. Oh no, we got to go here, we got to go there. I'm not connected to me, and I'm not connected to you. But when I come out of that and I'm up here, like, of course I'm connected to you. Hey, let's have some fun. Isn't this nice? La, 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 la. I accept you. I love you. Like, it's just easy because it's who we really are. So stopping that share and going back to that, recognizing the signals, and then now really deciding if we want to shift. So I'm going to
Julie, okay.
Yes, great. March.
Is it okay to ask a question right now?
You can ask a question anytime you want.
I know it's going to sound intellectualized. It's really,
yes,
I feel it's just something that occurred to me though.
Great.
Which is that how I've been relating to the world I'm in is that I keep being the one unable to manage the threats. And then I was just sitting here going, based on my ecosystem, things might be a threat to me given my capacities and my immaturity and whatever, that won't be a threat in 10 years. But right now they are. Like, I guess I'm just trying to figure out, it never occurred to me. I keep doing all this work on self, except that I go, well, you could also actually reduce the threats, which is why people turn off the news. And so I'm just wondering where you sit in that conversation about how we manage the threats of our environment, because it's different threats and they're legitimate, some of them. So anyway, I'm just in that. I'm so tired of making myself wrong for my own incapacities, because then I become a threat to myself, so
yeah.
How would you at this point, starting there, assess threats accurately? And I know that's a sidebar question, but that's where I'm at now.
Thank you. All the questions, please bring them. So I don't know if there's a sidebar question here. I think this is a conversation, and whatever is coming up is exactly perfect. So it's all true. It's all true. Anybody gets to feel anything, anytime, for any reason. I love this idea so much, so that you don't have to justify or defend. Sure, it's a threat. Or we could all be like, oh, Marge, there's nothing to be scared about. You can be like, well, you guys don't understand. Like, we don't have to do any of that. If your body is going into reactive brain, you've detected a threat. You've perceived there to be a threat. Is there, isn't there one objectively, has nothing to do with it, because your body's already coding life as a threat. So now, do you need to go find more threats? I think since I was just reading the newspaper, apparently, like I'm still like out there, like interested in my species and what we're saying about all of this. Um, and I do regularly fantasize about folks who are just off the grid and they're completely disconnected from all of this. And what are their lives like? Just kind of like being in an expanded state, possibly. I don't know. That's not my life. But so, Marge, you get to feel whatever you're feeling.
Thank you. Yeah.
So what happens for you when you try that?
Well, I feel like crying. Because I felt a whole lot of threat this morning, you know.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I think that what got clear to me since last week is that my state of being is my choice.
Okay.
And I never really chose peace before or joy before. I mean,
Oh,
like maybe, but
right.
really just said, wait, balls to ovaries to the wall, Marge, you got to choose this because this other thing you're doing isn't working. Like as a sustained happiness, you know, and I don't want to keep living like this. So I got it. I'm going to choose. And so now that's why the question's coming up like, wow, you're going to have to choose a bunch of stuff because you can't keep arguing with how you be. Like you can't keep arguing with your reactivity at this. Do you see what I mean, Jules? I'm like, you got to put some structures in place and work your tools, but have a little grace about where you can't do it. I'm going on and on. I think you get what I mean. This whole series of choices when you choose peace or joy is a whole lot of behavior change, you know, for me.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, and maybe for us together collectively, the 8 billion of us, to actually see it, conscious, sustainable, conscious, I'm aware and sustainable, something that not just I can keep doing over time, but I maybe I can flourish, I can feel nurtured by life and nourished by life. So to imagine that as the possibility. While I was reading the newspaper, I read this. I guess it was an excerpt from Hillary Clinton's new book, and she was describing canoeing with two women who used to be part of white supremacist movement, and now they've moved out of that, and they're kind of interfacing back, sort of bringing people out of that. And it was a beautiful article. The tone was, I mean, she used the word trauma a couple of times. Go Hillary, and kind of connecting with why are people drawn to that? What is it? And really wondering, getting very curious about why would I want to be involved with something that's so hateful and vitriolic, and what is it? Because I'm scared. Because I'm scared, right? I mean that. So I'm going to take some stand and have some sense that I have control and I can do something. And I'm not trying to justify it, the action behind it, but look at our world, that it seems like a good idea to go bomb, thousands and thousands. Like, okay, like that's still in our whole realm of possibility. Why? Because we're in reactive brain and we are scared. And so from reactive brain, we can do anything. From reactive brain, I am capable of atrocity. I know I am. I wish I was. Get me hungry enough and tired enough and around the right people. Who knows, right? I just have no confidence. Thanks for being these people and not, right? I don't know who I would be in a different context. So over and over, I'm trying to teach myself, okay, the practice of coming back into my body so that I do have those other choices, that reactivity is not my defining principle. And I believe myself so much that in fact I should chase after the guy on the bike, right? Even if my body or my mind's like, But to shift that, to be willing to shift back to some other reality that is going to happen when my body moves through that stress response. So, Marge, I'd say lots and lots of love and space here, not more what's wrong with you. I'm going to just tell you all this. Maybe I'll tell you this every time, but I'm going to tell it to you again. You all are doing the best you can. You are doing now, that's totally arguable, I know. But here's my proof, because I'm freaking doing the best I can right this second with all the things I have and all that. And then I'm going to think about it later and be like, oh boy, I can't believe I said that. Right. I'll have time to learn and I can turn around and judge myself. But I promise this is it. This is the best I can this second. And that's true for every one of you. So to have a little more space here for you, and it's true of all the rest of us, we're just out there kind of taking what we know and taking the next step into this unpredictable world where things change all the time. And we're just trying to find our way. So Marge, breathing a lot, and I wonder what's happening for you, because all I can see is your pretty icon picture, but I don't know how you're doing in there. Oh, there you are. Oh, hello. Hi. Oh, you're outside and eating. Great. So how are you now? Yeah.
No, I feel I like knowing that we're in this together. So I kind of am having a little bit of a cosmic laugh. Thank you for all that. Yeah.
And so that wherever you were a few minutes ago, wanting to cry and being hard, like, I don't know what you were saying to yourself. So it sounds like you just shifted your whole way of being. And that's what we're talking about is, oh, I'm in this state and I am willing to shift. Now, another day, you might have been like, I'm just going to feel like crap today and stop talking to me. Like, stop bothering me. Like, I'm going to stay here as long as I want in my own reactive being. And I honor that. And I'm like, yeah, that's what this whole step is about, to say, yeah, I don't actually have to change this. I'm going to choose exactly what you just said. I'm going to choose to shift, but I don't have to. Because if I'm walking around saying, hey, you all, let's go, come on, you can do it, let's all shift right now. Now, some of you might be like, okay, I'm ready. And some of you are going to be like, yeah, get me out of here. Who's she telling me what to do? So that's what I'm really leaning into here is good. That's yourselves, and yay you to have that strength and have that ability. And then you might be like, yeah, but now, maybe now. Or 5 minutes later, or, I could if I want, like, to start to feel the other side of that. I think humans we're basically ambivalent. Sure, I want to be different. Oh my God, there's so much change. Can I just let me be like that? We seesaw between that. And so if I'm just like, okay, you should change right now, you're going to be like, no. So playing with that and internally playing, how many times I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to just do healthy things now. Yeah, I'm going to get up and do the healthy things. And then eventually the other part is like, I don't want to. I just want to sleep in. I don't want to, like, it's going to come back. So playing with that ambivalence, knowing that's part of the energies of who we are, good, and not having to make yourself be different from that. Choosing. Do I want to? No. Okay, cool. How about now? It's part of the conversation at home. One of us will say, I feel mad. No, in the old days, like, oh no, what happened? Or, oh, why are you mad? And now it's just like, it'll be like 15 seconds. Are you still mad? Yes. Okay. All right. Let me know if you've shifted. Let me know if you want to shift. If you don't, fine. And there's a lot of space for our whole beings to come through and just have full expression. I'm going to pause there, see what's coming up for anybody. Any thoughts, experiences that you want to share about this? Well, okay then. I'm going to keep going, and we're going to start in on SEW. Oh, wait, before we do that, since the whole context here is the US election, has anybody had any reactive experiences about the election lately? Just want to be sure that's part of our conversation. Esme, yes, tell us.
Well, this is kind of silly, but after the first debate, my my husband and I started looking for property in other countries.
Whoa, wow, right?
Yes, because we were just terrified
Terrified.
and feeling alienated
Mhm.
in some ways, and just both of us, we didn't feel comfortable in our bodies and safe.
Yep.
So it felt safe and it felt joyful to give ourselves some kind of option of even just looking at other places.
I I think you were not the only ones. I've actually heard from some other folks about something similar, a whole exodus. Yeah, like, oh God, I can't do this. And so, Esme, let's play around with the tools a little bit. Do you, I'm not looking at the inner map right now, but do you have any sense of where you were on the map?
Um, Let me
I can show it to
take
you. I
a
don't,
look at it.
can you see the
That would be
screen?
yes,
Because
I can.
okay, I will share it, even though this map has
Australia is awesome. That was funny.
Australia. Come to Australia. I know, right?
I mean, I think it was despair.
So you were way down in here, despair and
Yeah, there was a lot of
immobilization,
anxiety and just a sinking, like a stone sinking
uh,
into a underwater.
going down. Yeah.
Yeah,
So despair, kind of this immobilized experience. And I hear anxiety too. So did you have some fear going on?
yeah. When I sat with the feeling, it seemed like at the root of it was fear and
Uh-huh.
the lack of safety,
Yeah. I'm
or
scared.
a perceived lack of safety.
Sure. Yeah. Beautiful. And so now we're starting to actually edge a little bit into SEW because as you remember that, and first, Esme, do you still, you and your husband, are you still carrying that at this point, or?
Well, to full disclosure, we
Yeah.
actually bought a place
Wow. Okay. Where in Australia?
in Italy. They're offering really, really cheap properties, and we kind of went through with the offer. Our offer was accepted, and both of us talked about how in our bodies we just feel so much relief that we just have an option for safety
Wow. Yeah.
that feels safe to us.
So I thank you so much for telling us this because, wow. So you took an action and the action
Mhm.
actually addressed what the issue was for you. Like, oh my God, I do not feel, I'm so scared. I don't feel safe. And I hear the despair and I can't imagine that things are going to get better.
Right, and you touched on like a helplessness there, that the action gave us a sense, taking an action
Mhm.
gave us a sense of being able to heal that helplessness.
Yeah. Right. Okay, good. There's something I can do here. I'm not at the effective life. We're gonna take step out and do something for ourselves to generate that safety.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
Not
Okay.
expect it to just appear or grow or something.
Mhm. That's so great. And I'm just thinking people are making their travel plans to go visit you. Right now.
Everyone's welcome.
Okay, great. Come on over to Italy. And so now you did the thing. And so I want to as if can we go back in time if I don't know if this is even possible to that sense of fear and despair. Can you feel it in your body?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Can you describe where that is?
For me, fear usually shows up in my digestive system,
Oh,
like
yeah.
a kind of a heavy, cold,
Uh,
clammy, like in my guts
heavy, cold,
feeling.
clammy guts feeling. Oh, yeah. Whew. And can you feel it right now?
Yeah.
Way to go. Thank you. And so as you are tuning
Mm.
into that experience, that heavy, cold, clammy, uh-huh. Now you already told us it's fear. I just want to check, is there any anger or sadness in that? Just because that's what I like
Oh,
to do.
yeah,
Oh, anger and sadness. Well, tell us.
definitely. It's all wrapped up in there
Oh,
for
it's got
me.
some anger, sadness, like lots of things churning. Probably
Like a
little.
big,
Oof.
rat's nest of feeling.
Good idea, Italy. Yeah, let's get out of the rat's nest. Yeah, and so then now, as you're in there with that experience, kind of feeling all the rats scurrying and the energy of that, and breathing with that. So now this is recognizing the signs and the signals, which is thank you. You're doing that. So the next step that we're talking about today is deciding if you want to shift. Now you did, and you bought a place, you took an action, but how about even right now as you're remembering what it feels like in your gut? Would you be willing to shift? Do you want to shift?
Yes.
Okay, great. Because all of the other steps of in that we're going to cover are about shifting. And so you deciding that right now is the first step. Now, can we just kind of play around with a day where you'd be like, no, just to let yourself be there, like, no.
Mhm.
Stop talking to me. Like, no, I don't want to shift. Don't you know it's terrible? And that's just how it is. Like, just really letting yourself have that. But you already told us yes. So I'm gonna,
Well,
oh,
I think for me at least, is it okay if I interrupt?
please.
For me, I have a kung fu practice, and
Oh,
there's
really?
a something called shifting in kung fu, which the translation is uh making a bridge.
Keep going. Tell us more.
So for me, like shifting, a huge important part of is starting where you are to
Right.
create a bridge to the next place, to where you want to go.
Exactly.
So when you asked me, are you ready to shift? It for me, that has to come out of acknowledging where you are and being able to feel that. And so
Beautiful.
taking the moment to feel like, yeah, I can feel that. It feels awful. But
Right.
I can't shift unless I fully feel that first feeling.
Exactly. Underline, underline. Thank you. And Kung Fu, wow. Geez, I don't know a thing about Kung Fu. And so I guess I know a thing now. So letting yourself be there in the rat's nest of your gut.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. And then deciding if you want to shift, but starting with just letting it be what it is. And so now let's play just for a moment or two, because we'll be, like I said, really leaning into that in the next classes. Um, as you notice the fear, and then you said, well, I asked sadness, anger. Fear is trying to tell us that there's a threat or a danger. We're trying to tell ourselves. It's not like this external thing. It's like I'm I've noticed my body is radaring that there's a perceived threat or danger. So for you, Esme, what is the perceived threat or danger here?
Oh, goodness, there's a few.
Uh-huh. Great. Yeah.
Um, I I am I'm a queer person, and feeling like my rights are can be eroded is a real danger, and that feels scary.
Mhm.
As
And
also as a person in a woman's body, that feels like real danger of our rights being taken away, and also dangers to where we live, our ability to drink clean water, our ability to breathe clean air. Those all feel like very real threats to safety and health.
thank you. If you're willing, will you keep going? Because what might happen as a queer person, as a person in a woman's body, is drinking water. What's the bottom line? So keep going. What's the scariest part of what your gut is talking to you about?
I guess I'm thinking of the map, and it's death.
right? Whew. So, okay, y'all, here it is. we, yay, we could all get scared about death. So, or you don't have to choose. But Esme, would you be willing to feel as scared as you feel that you could die? Because of course you will, but I mean that something could happen so that this will lead to your death. What I mean by that is to breathe into your whole digestive tract or tract and actually be like, okay, like our bodies are not dumb. They are telling us something real. Of course you're scared about that. You get to feel as scared as you feel about that. And breathing with that. And are you having images or anything else about that whole picture of, oh, I could die?
For me, it's more of just a welling up of emotion. Like I feel like I'm about to cry.
Thank you so much. We get to gaze at the beautiful butterfly picture while you're going through this. Thank you. So noticing those sensations of, wow, I could cry right now. And in fact, you might notice that. And as you kind of let yourself put attention on that, does that feel like mad or sad or scared?
It feels like tapping into some grief, so sadness.
Yeah, sadness. Sadness. Now, sadness is trying to tell us that we're losing something. We've lost something. So for you, Esme, as you let yourself feel as sad as you feel, which is really a tall order here, but how about like, wow, I do feel sad. What have you lost?
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know how to answer that. Sorry.
Oh, please, you're doing so. Thank you. What does your mind sort of pop to the surface about what the loss is here?
Um, whew, I guess in terms of rights and such, like there is so much that's already lost with the abortion ban, and in terms of the climate grief, there's already so much, we've passed some irreversible damage points, and I find myself grieving those things.
I'm sorry.
No, no.
Yeah. Yeah. So grieving for what we have lost. Yeah. And for you to let your like we're tuned in, right, to the collective. And so letting yourself feel that grief and then also noticing, does this remind you of anything in your own life when you connect to this grief or the fear?
Suppose there's a pool of grief that kind of is just under the surface.
That pool, I know what you mean, that pool. I imagine the fossil fuel pool, like all the oil under the Earth's crust of, right?
Yeah.
That you start tuning into that grief. It's like, whoa, there's all those feelings I haven't felt yet. But right now you're doing it. So to really underline that your willingness is taking you, oh, great, huh? But is taking you to this unfelt just bunch of stuff there that as you let yourself feel it, here's the willingness. And you can stop anytime, by the way. Oh, of course, you're in it. So I don't know if once you're in it, it's hard to just put on the brakes. But what's happening now as you let yourself feel what you're feeling?
Oh, every time it just starts to lift. But it's just so scary to step into it. But
Yes.
once I step into it, it helps.
It
And
helps.
it starts to kind of dissolve a little.
Way to go. Thank you, Esme. Like exactly what I did not know that. I didn't know that coming out of graduate school, which is a little bit funny to me. I'd spent 5 years learning about humans and how to what you do with to be a psychotherapist, psychologist, all the things. I didn't know this, y'all. This would have been helpful. That's why I'm teaching it. Oh, if I feel what I feel, I'm going to feel better. if I'm willing, to let my attention be on the fear, on we even haven't talked about anger, but on this the sadness, the grief, it's actually going to move through. Of course, it doesn't mean it's all moved through, but right, but because there's that pool or the next wave, like to imagine feelings are just there's just sitting in front of the ocean. There's the next wave, and there's always the next wave of emotion that's going to come through, because that's what it means to have a body on this world and be alive. And Esme, how are you doing now? What's happening now in your body? Because you've been our demo person without even knowing. So
Well,
how are you?
I'm kind of like feeling like, when you almost have a little frostbite and the sensation starts coming back into your extremities.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling like a little tingling in my hands and feet,
Oh.
just kind of like a thawing kind of
Oh,
feeling.
you're thawing.
Yeah.
Yes, great. Okay, so I'm going to share the map again, and I'm going to ask you, where are you now on the map?
I think I feel like I feel a little like right at the neutrality point, honestly.
Whoa, look at that.
And it's interesting, there's the bridge there. Yeah.
There's that bridge.
Yeah.
And look, it says willingness to shift.
How funny.
How funny. Huh, look. Now the second part, sees self as creator. We'll maybe talk more about that, but I really want to highlight this willingness. And again, you don't have to, but you just were willing. And so you just did such a beautiful demonstration of what willingness looks like and sounds like. Like, oh, I got to go into all of the rat's nest of cold. Can't even remember all the adjectives. Cold, dense,
Clammy.
clammy. Who wants to go in there? But you did. To remind me, we just went to the Carlsbad Caverns, like down into the caverns of low, although it was beautiful. But anyway, you were willing to be a spelunker and go down into that. And then that you naturally, because of your willingness and because of your attention and energy, shifted back to your natural state, which is creative brain. So that was beautiful. Thank you so much. Do you have anything else before I'm going to open to everyone and just see where people are. But Esme, do you feel complete?
I feel great, but also just like a little like dizzy.
Whoa, right? Well,
yeah.
I think we free up energy by letting it be true. Like what you just said about Kung Fu, like you started there, oh, it's true. And then with your attention and energy, it's like, whoa, it kind of became more available to you. So, whoa, yeah, kind of more expanded state. Here's a good time for me to just put this question to all of us. It's a good day for this question. How good are you really willing to feel? So, Esme, since you're our current mouthpiece for life, that's a good question for you. Like as you experience your own dizziness, how's it going?
That's such an interesting phrasing. How good are you willing to feel? Because yeah, I feel a hesitancy to feel good.
I know, right? Especially with everything you were describing earlier.
Right.
Wait a second. It's okay to feel good.
Right.
So I'm glad to address this, because I think as far as, well, it's all my projection anyway. But what it seems like to me is we mostly think it's better to feel bad. Like if we really understand the world, here's how does this go? If you're not angry, you're not paying attention. Kind of, especially in the world of activism, like, don't you see what's happening? And so if you're not like in the reactivity, there's some moral issue about humanity. So I want to counterbalance that with my belief, which is the better you feel, the more expanded you are, the better for all of us. And as you read through, especially the beginning of my book, you'll see the whole part about David Hawkins describing The more of us there are in the more expanded states, it's actually counterbalancing folks that are really stuck in reactivity. So now it could have been that you all counterbalanced me this morning when I was in my reactive few minutes there. Thank you. I appreciate it. But to really have some sense of, oh, my real service here to humanity is to feel as good as I can. What? So the more that if I get to, let's just go through neutral to acceptance to appreciation. I'm doing this because it's not up and down. It really is contracted, expanded, shame and death. It's all very dense, angry, get scared, all that stuff. But I come out to the line and I'm out here. Whew, let's just try that out. Okay, wow, neutral. There's a lot more energy here. Acceptance. Okay, can I accept life as it is right now? The Kung Fu moment, that was beautiful. Can I appreciate, even love life as it is right now? Can I let myself feel joy about life? Can I go to peace where I know that we're all connected? That those are the realms that free up all of this great energy for us. And when I'm out here, then I actually have energy to do things that would be my next creative action. And that's the point of these 8 weeks, is to support you to find the energy that might be locked up in our clammy, cold, digestive rat's nests of reactivity, that as I free that up, that what I'm doing is supporting myself and everyone around me to have a whole different experience of life, which is not about what's wrong and who's bad and who's good. It's really shifting to new possibilities that I haven't even imagined before. All right, y'all, we have just a couple minutes. I want to see if I just kind of blasted through that whole time. Well, me and Esme, thank you, Esme. Can we all just appreciate, yes, Esme, we got, yay. Any last anythings before we wrap for today? Oh, we got hearts. Thank you, Carrie, Elena. Anybody want to tell us anything besides that? And we know that Australia is awesome, so. I think what I'll do is just wrap, because clearly anything that you bring up now, I'll be like, now I'm going to cut you off. So, so instead we'll tune back in next time, same time, and do some more. And because we're especially going to lean more into SEW. As we kind of gain momentum through these weeks, there'll be more time, I think, to just play around with whatever's coming up for you. I'm just really wanting to lay down the structure, and then we can play more with helping you all shift, so that then you're going to walk out and be supporting others around you to shift, but only if they want to. Okay. Thanks, everybody. I will see you next time, I hope. And thank you for bringing your light out into the world. Okay. Bye.